Meanwhile, in the pod cave.
I'm so sad and lonely.
And welcome back to another edition, a very special edition, a little Podman Extra here of the Podman. I'm Brad.
I'm Brian.
I'm Podman Ron.
And I am Alex.
And Alex is back. Yes, Alex is back. And he called everybody. He called the Podmen back into the pod cave because he was so darn excited about Suicide Squad. So this is going to be all Suicide Squad after the 2-hour extravaganza from last episode where we talked about Suicide Squad. So we figure we needed to add another hour to it. So our talking about Suicide Squad is longer than the movie now, thanks to you, Alex.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's like this is our first rerun.
It's kind of a rerun, yeah, pretty much.
And it's sad because I didn't even listen to the episode where we talked about it.
I know. That's the worst part.
I know Brian loves the movie because he gave us his non talk.
We can't get enough listeners as it is, but when we don't even listen to it ourselves.
But I don't know how anyone else feels towards the movie. So I'd like just a quick recap of what Brad and Podman Ron thought about.
Are we only doing Suicide Squad?
I think we're only
episode?
doing Suicide Squad. This is it. It's special Suicide Squad edition. All right, go to the movies. All right, so Suicide Squad out in theaters and at HBO Max, and finally catching up with Alex on it. So, Alex, you said, what did everybody think about it? I don't remember. I think I gave it a 3, a reluctant 3.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.
And then I think I gave it a 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I guess you will have to go back and re-listen to the podcast, Alex, to understand how the ratings work. Because we did review the ratings. I'm still a little confused on them, to be honest with you. But
Not that hard.
What's a basic setup before I read?
All right, this is the way I know. This is the way I look at it, Alex. You tell me if you agree.
Okay.
1, I wish I had never heard of this film. I wasted my time. There was nothing redeeming.
Yeah.
A 2 is I didn't necessarily enjoy the movie, but I could see something in the film that was at least interesting, right? Or I could appreciate that someone else might like it, even though it might not be my thing.
Okay.
A 3 is just good. It's good. It's not, I may watch it again. I may not. I enjoyed myself. I don't regret spending the money on the movie ticket. A 4 is I'll probably buy this film. It was very good. I enjoy it. It may go into the rotation. And a 5 is I will definitely watch this movie several times.
Got it.
I loved it.
I agree with that. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
I'd say that's perfectly fine.
All right. Well, so Alex, so you heard what we got: a 3, 4, and a 5 here. Who are you going to side with, or are you going to go with a 1 or a 2?
Okay.
Okay.
So I saw Suicide Squad last week.
Sit down. Jesus Christ,
Sorry.
man.
Yeah, sit down and move closer to the mic.
I feel like I'm watching The West Wing here.
It's hard because I have my earpods with me. They're dead. So
I know you don't know much about film and audio production here, Alex, but it helps when you're actually talking into the mic and not walking around and things like that. So let's give that a shot.
That would be clear.
There you go.
So I saw the Suicide Squad for the first time, and I wasn't quite sure how I felt. I went in purely over wanting to be entertained, and I knew I was, but I couldn't quite pin. There was something I didn't like that I couldn't pin down, and then there was just a whole lot of feelings that I couldn't quite make clear.
Wow, you seem like you're more confused than Tim Drake, but please go on.
Ooh. That was good. But then, so on Tuesday, I had the opportunity to go see it again in theaters, and so I did. I took it. I wanted to, and I wanted this time to go into it not as just trying to be entertained, but trying to really analyze what I was watching from both James Gunn's perspective as a filmmaker and everything like that.
All right.
And I finally made a consensus that I didn't expect. Everyone knows going into the trailers when we reviewed them.
Yeah, you were not a fan.
I didn't like it.
No.
I thought it looked dumb. I thought the jokes were terrible. I just didn't. I was not invested at all in a bunch of nobodies in this movie. Like it just didn't. It didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
After watching it twice, I was wrong.
Uh-oh. Wow.
Hard
to admit.
I will take full blame in judging a book by its cover. The Suicide Squad is, in my opinion, and I'll get more into it.
The suspense here, Alex. You're killing us here.
The Suicide
Do
Squad.
we have a drum roll?
The Suicide Squad.
No. All I've got is...
That's the only one we need to save.
Yeah.
But the Suicide Squad might be the most faithful interpretation of a comic book property ever put to film so far.
Wow.
And it is a film I have deeply fallen in love with.
I think Podman Ron just got abducted by aliens, but
this is what happens. You can't even get through 5 minutes of talking about a movie before PMR just comes in with blaring wind or ordering.
He either fell asleep or there he is.
What happened?
Where am I?
Where am I?
Alex is still trying to get through a review. He so far he says this is the best comic book adaptation into film ever. Period.
Yeah. And I hate being absolute here, so I'll start off with what I don't like. In the second act, I finally pinned it down. It kind of gets a little slow. It basically, what I've decided on, does a Harley Quinn tie-in comic in the middle of the movie, which is still really fun, and it's not bad by any means.
It's a little boring.
It's a little boring, yeah. But it does also give us probably one of the coolest action sequences in comic book history. That hallway fight with Harley and the Spear is amazing and well choreographed and beautifully shot and has such flavor and pizzazz. It's fucking great. But I did find myself really bored during that part of the movie. I don't care about the love thing, whatever. It's like, whatever. But to that point, that is the only thing I had a fault with.
That was the only problem. And Brian, just real quick on that. Brian, I think you had a thought on that. I don't know if it was a thought, but it was sort of like, the reason that scene existed is because James Gunn was kind of like, we'll throw Margot Robbie a bone here and let her have this little scene, right?
Yeah, I think it's the whole thing is like that's part of the whole bringing her character, because they're not going to get Jared Leto back, right? She's not going to get to kill the Joker. So this was like her way of killing the Joker and excising those demons. And the guy even had kind of like that angular face like the Joker to an extent. So this was the quasi she gets her revenge on Joker without actually killing the Joker.
And Harley didn't have much of a point in the movie otherwise.
No, she would have had little to nothing to do.
Which is kind of funny considering that she was the most popular person. And from the first, she had from the first Suicide Squad, she had her own movie, and then in here, it felt like she got sidelined big time.
But I think I think she killed Starro at the end.
But technically, no, she didn't. Ratcatcher killed Starro at the end.
Yeah, but she helped. She was the only other one that helped.
She assisted. Kind of just worked. But I think that's honestly to the movie's benefit. It really does feel like it was a 6-issue miniseries with one tie-in comic that was a Harley special. Like that, and that's amazing. I can't say enough that in most blockbusters nowadays, and Black Widow is a perfect example, Jungle Cruise is a perfect example, Fast 9 is a perfect example. There's no art or flavor or any sort of meaningful attempt to craft a scene in which there's meaning conveyed in the angles and the lighting and of the shot in general. Most of the time, it's just bland, like cut to a face after bland cut to a face. But here, because James Gunn's brilliant, he massively puts together a movie in which every shot is absolutely stunning. I'll send a picture of a screen grab of one I took that I think is just one of the most stunning shots I've ever seen in any movie of King Shark and the bus. I just sent it to our group chat. And he's looking out the window, and it conveys so much. There's no dialogue in it. It's just an introductory shot that just perfectly establishes what our character's theme is, what he cares about, and what's his evolution in the story, how he grows. And it's fucking masterful. It's goddamn glorious.
Wow.
And to say that's not just about him, but that's about every fucking character. But from Ratcatcher to Bloodsport, every character has that moment of pure glory. And it's astounding. It perfectly... I even went back and read John Ostrander's initial Suicide Squad run, and it perfectly encapsulates the theme of that book, which is that these people are meant to be expendable. But James Gunn then takes that and puts it on its proverbial axis and says, you know what? I'm going to also just show you how much they're not, and how everybody has a redemption story. Everybody has the potential to be good, and it's about moving forward. It's about
rats.
And you know what? It goes beyond that. It goes fucking beyond that. It goes beyond that when you think about James Gunn's reputation as a director, and the trials and tribulations he went through Twitter, all this stuff. You read, he's gone through. He got fucking canceled, and he said, "Yeah, I fucked up, but you know what? I'm a good person who's trying his best, who made some bad mistakes. I'm trying to move forward." So he takes a group of nobodies and he makes a movie that perfectly encapsulates this theme that is beautifully stated by the flashback in the final action scene with Ratcatcher and Ratcatcher 2, where it's said that rats are the most expendable creatures in the world.
Yeah.
But if they have meaning, so
everything
do we all.
does.
And it's
Alex, I think you're just too hoity-toity for this podcast.
I am out of breath.
Like all the flashing lights.
And it's just one of those things where it's like you can see the impact that a filmmaker has on the piece and the love and care he has for it, because it means something to him. He's talking about redemption, and meanwhile, this is his redemption. This is his story. This is his struggle as a filmmaker, as just anything, as a writer, and it's fucking beautiful.
Well, let you catch your breath here. Get a drink of water here. Wow, I mean that's you read a lot into it. You read a lot more than I did. Podman Ron, you just liked it because it was a fun action movie, right?
It was fun action. It made me laugh at parts. It was a pretty decent story, and I feel like I've missed out on something.
You're going to have to rewatch this son of a bitch.
I mean, I don't know why.
I think I know what PMR has missed out on.
I don't know why I feel this, and I know it's not a perfect movie. No. Some of the jokes really work for me, and sometimes it's really not funny. But I think the fact that it's not perfect means it makes it even more perfect to me, because that's what this movie's whole commentary is on.
Wow.
And this is a movie for the downtrodden. It is a movie to show that everyone has meaning. And I fucking love it.
That must be why Brian loves it, because I've always considered Brian very downtrodden. Brian, you were the one that gave this a 5. Do you have such a boner for this movie as Alex apparently does?
I think I got to back it back down to a 4.
I think I'm going to go back down to it. Everybody else shift downward. I'm giving it a 2. Official. Boom. Roasted.
I think Alex wants to take it behind the bleachers and get it pregnant.
She is in love with this movie. Alex, let me ask you this, because you and I agreed, and whereas the other two podmen were very, ignorantly disagreed about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah. And you and I have said that, hey, we love the music cues, we love the visuals, we love it. It's like a painting, it's like a still photograph, some of the things he does. How does that, now you haven't used those words, but you kind of say the same thing about James Gunn. Two very different movies, I would say, looks and feels and cinematography.
I would say where Zack Snyder's all about flair, and he does kind of the same things.
And Podman Ron loves flair, so you should love Zack Snyder.
It's kind of the same thing, I would say. I just think where Zack Snyder sometimes just makes a shot based off just, it looks fucking dope. I think James Gunn really creates visuals that means something for our characters and creates just an inner depth to them.
Okay.
That is the reason film is so popular in general, because you can convey so much without saying a word. You can convey anything to just a 5-second clip of something. You can understand a character, and James Gunn understands that, and he understands how to use an ensemble and make that ensemble each have such a unique visual style and give them each such beautiful shots that represent that visual style. I think James Gunn's better at character work, and I think that really goes into his filmmaking style. I mean, Guardians is a perfect example. You know this guy is good with an ensemble cast. You know he's great at developing and creating hearts of stories and these family dramas. And I don't know. I don't know why I have such a hard-on for this movie. I don't know why.
I don't either.
I don't know why this movie, but
Really...
I just feel like when you think about a comic book movie, and when you think about a movie that really just uses every character to its fullest, and every character has meaning. I mean, no one gave a fuck about Rick Flag in Suicide Squad in 2016. No one gave a flying fuck. And in this movie, he turns into one of the most likable, and you're actually hurt when he dies.
Spoiler alert. We didn't talk about that.
Oh, well,
I'm just kidding.
He gets fucking killed, and it fucking hurts. It hurts to see, because you love this guy, and you see the torment he goes through in this movie. Ratcatcher, a fucking C-level fucking villain that no one knew. Hell, I didn't even know before this movie came out. Turns into my favorite character in the movie, and perhaps has the greatest piece of comic book orchestration that has ever been fucking done. That ratism theme, I have it on fucking loop. It's banging.
The what is?
The ratism. That's what the song's called. That plays at the finale where the rats all crawl up Starro. It's a banging piece of music. It's fucking stunning. And I've listened to it over and over.
I don't know if I noticed that. Podman Ron, did you notice the musical cues with Ratcatcher toward the end there?
A little bit, yeah. I know what he's talking about.
Okay.
It's fucking great.
I've heard music before.
Me hear music. I mean, Podman Ron, Podman Ron you're going to have to really up it up. You can't give me this King Shark answers here, like music.
What?
Right.
Funny movie.
Funny.
You know, I said it in the last podcast. I don't. Alex is going really deep this one, but I thought Alex said it best before, that he felt like it was the closest thing to a independent Quentin Tarantino type movie with superheroes, and I still think that's true. Looking back on the film, that it did have that independent feel to it, almost that trauma where James Gunn comes from feel to it on a big budget, and yeah, I liked it. So that's as probably artsy as I'm going to get.
All right. Brian, I want to, again, while Alex takes a little break here, Brian, I want to get your thoughts on anything that, I'm assuming you agree with everything that Alex said, although you don't have the vocabulary to express yourself the way Alex does, but you agree with that, right? Everything so far?
Yeah, I agree with it. I think and this was a little scandalous when we recorded the other night. I feel like this as a whole is a stronger movie than either of the two Guardian movies. I love the two Guardians movies.
So do I.
So I feel like the work in the film, building that large a cast, and even in the beach scenes where it's you knew that it was going to whittle down quickly, but even the beach scene, he managed to make you care about Javelin, right? Who was on the screen for less than 5 minutes or something like that. So everything had a purpose. It was a really strong script. I thought most of the jokes landed. I agree with the some of the Harley stuff got a little. It did start to drag, and it was kind of like, well, what was the purpose? Why did they build up this dictator just so she could kill him at the end of the first act? And then I realized it was the Joker thing, right? That was their way of killing him. I feel like it's the best DC film since The Dark Knight. So in 13 years, it's the best DC film they've made. Both the Supermans, the Justice League, the Wonder Woman, Aquaman. It's the best. Shazam. It's the best film they've done since Dark Knight. So yeah, I really enjoy it. The thing that I wanted to bring up to Alex, because we kind of talked about it a little bit. I feel like this is an advantage that DC has that Marvel will never be able to capitalize on. So DC can make R-rated films. Like, they can make R-rated superhero films. And the things that we've enjoyed most in the past, year have been Invincible, right? And The Boys, 2 seasons of The Boys, right? And so DC can actually entertain those type of properties where Marvel never can. And I feel like I wish they would do more R-rated superhero films from DC. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they could do. There's a lot of back catalog they could do. I mean, an R-rated Constantine movie would be kick-ass, right? That sort of thing. Because back when I was a kid, you had R-rated action movies. And it kind of came back around in the 2000s where you had those R-rated action movies, and then they backed off again. And here, the thing is, you've got kids that have grown up with Marvel that if they're not going to always want to watch a Marvel type film, it's going to lose some of the luster. But if you can age up the stories and make them R-rated superhero films, and not make them R-rated for the sake of making them R-rated, but make them R-rated when the material dictates it and the director dictates it, and I think that's where you get into that whole. It's not going to hurt the box office because kids are still going to find a way to see it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so. And if anything, it's even cooler. It's more taboo to go see it because it's like, I'm 13 years old, but I'm seeing an R-rated film because it's in the DC universe. So I think if there's any lesson to be learned from all of this is that like DC should really like double down, not double down and make an R-rated movie for the sake of an R-rated movie, not take something that doesn't fit, but go look at their Vertigo catalog, go look at their mature readers catalog, or the stuff that was, like in the 80s, you had so many properties that after Dark Knight Returns was such a success, they kept kind of going back to that sort of stuff. Longbow Hunters, there's a lot of stuff in the DC catalog they could go to flesh out a universe and I don't know. That's the Authority. I mean, think about if they made an Authority movie, like. So that's my. I hope that's the lesson that's learned by all this for DC is that stop trying to clone Marvel. You've honestly, in a lot of ways, have a better catalog of issues and story arcs that you can still make and not have to worry about selling the action figures or selling the or getting 13-year-olds in to see the film. They'll find a way to watch the movie. It'll actually be, probably even bigger. So,
and while I agree with everything, I'll add to the point that DC's also willingness to give its creatives liberty over the project and give them full creative control is something Marvel will never do. And
maybe now, but that's not always been the case. Maybe
right,
this
that was
movie,
the problem.
because it was, that maybe because it's James Gunn now, but. I mean, they sure in the hell didn't do that to Zack Snyder or the guy who did the first Suicide Squad or anybody fucking else. So
and I was going to get to that. That those movies, both, Justice League wasn't, but the original Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad are box office hits. They made a shit ton of money, and I think both made $800 million total.
And everybody hates them. But go ahead.
And everyone hates them.
I love both of them.
Now, the thing is, when we look at this movie, and ashamed to say, as much as I love it, this movie has tanked. It probably will not make
HBO Max. I mean,
but I don't.
Stupid idea on their part, but
I don't think it is. No, the problem isn't with the. It sucks that this movie only made $26.5 million, and there's a variety of reasons that this movie did that. But I think.
Where were you going?
I think what sucks the most is that I agree everything with what Brian said. And I agree
that does suck that you agree with Brian. I I will agree with that.
No, what sucks is that I don't think we're going to get the Suicide Squad again. I don't think we're going to get a movie like this again, with this much liberty and this much heart and this much non-studio interference. I don't think that's possible. This movie is officially a dud.
See, I disagree with that though. So,
but the movie has to make money. At the end of the day, this is a product.
But the problem is in like the hybrid environment, people haven't said it's a dud. Hamada's like super happy with the film. Like they're in the James Gunn business, he said, right? They will have James Gunn back. So, but here's the thing: in this environment, the subscriber data is the important piece. And coming out of the weekend, it was the highest streamed movie ever released on HBO Max, aside from Mortal Kombat. But Mortal Kombat had been out for like 3 months at that point.
Right.
So in a weekend, so at this point, I'm sure it's the highest streamed film on HBO Max ever. And so, the thing is, the premium of $15 a month, that's gonna. I mean, they can attribute a big chunk of that $15 a month for the month of August to Suicide Squad and the hybrid release. Now, is it going to show up on Box Office Mojo? No. Do I think that they can see those analytics that yes, this was a success? Yeah.
Well,
I also think
talking about a movie that is, I think, the second most expensive R-rated movie of all time, clocking at a $185 million budget and a massive ad campaign. This movie might not make its money back.
But there's a couple of different caveats to that. The subscriber data, I'm sure, is going to ease some of that pain of the 26.5 million. 1, 2. We're now in the second weekend. Is it going to have the drop that Black Widow did? I got a feeling it may have legs that other films this year have not had.
Word of mouth may have benefited it.
I also feel like it's rife for an opportunity to go back and do the Deadpool before Christmas, where they could go in, tweak it a little bit, shave a little bit here, shave a little bit there, and re-release it.
I don't know if you can.
I think you could, but re-release it as PG-13, right?
That's a lot of blood to CGI out.
Well, you could go in, you could say, okay, and James Gunn normally films alternate takes of everything, right? Like, that's why people love him, is because he lets people, kind of work with the material and tweak the material. So there's probably alternate takes that can be made. There's also, there's probably some ways to trim some of it where they could re-release this in theaters again for, first quarter of next year and get another box office and just say it's additional footage is added, and now it's PG-13, so you can feel like you can take your kids to go see it. I think the subscriber data piece is the most important part, because I've got a feeling when we hit January of next year, HBO Max is not going to be $15 a month anymore. I got a feeling we're heading towards 20 a month. Yeah. So if it's, especially with the Discovery merger, right? So if it's $20 a month for HBO Max, and they can say, well, look, like, we're going to continue to bring you these films that everybody loves, like Suicide Squad. I think the subscriber data is the most important piece, period. And I'll liken it to this. Amazon bought Whole Foods about 6 years ago. And Amazon and grocery stores traditionally don't make money. Like they have trouble turning a profit. Where grocery stores make money is in the spiffs they get from the manufacturers. So if you sell enough Kellogg cereal, they'll give you a free product, right? And so they make their money on the free product and returning product, right, that's gone bad. So why would Amazon buy a grocery store? Because they want that data. They want that subscriber data because they can use it to market other products. Yeah. And so they didn't buy Kroger. They didn't buy Publix. They didn't buy, they bought Whole Foods, which is an affluent grocery store in an affluent marketplace, because they can say, look, and now they can go and say, all right, we've got these consumer habits for people that shop this grocery store. Hey, Mercedes, would you like to have access to these affluent customers?
Right.
And the first thing Amazon did when they bought Whole Foods was you went in and registered for Prime. And you went in and you linked it to your Prime for loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
So now they know you've got Amazon and Whole Foods driving that, and they're making their money on selling the ad revenue and selling that consumer spending data to other corporations. It's that sort of mentality. It's not a one-for-one example, but the data is more important than the quick hit of the box office in some cases. So I've got a feeling this is going to be it's not going to set the world on fire, but I've got a feeling at Warner Brothers they're pleased. I don't think this is going to come back to bite anybody in the ass. So,
and God, I hope you're right. God, I hope you're right, because more than anything, HBO Max executives, if you hear me, I'd love to see a R.I.P. Ava DuVernay and Tom King, but I'd love to see a Mr. Miracle movie. Please adapt it from the new run if you're hearing this. And if you need a writer, you know who to call.
Wow.
But please make that movie. But yeah, I hope you're right, because this movie's fucking good. I haven't given my score yet. I give it a fucking 5 and a fucking 1. My God.
All right.
If you're of age, see it. Fucking see it. It's fucking amazing.
I will have to watch it again because I thought it was fine.
The other reason I think I like this movie a lot, and this is something that
King Shark.
Yeah, I like
By the way,
Shark.
Brian is right in everything he said, and that was a very educated statement, and I really like that. Thank you. Before
Anyway,
PMR gets into his...
since we're doing a circle jerk here. Anyway.
Lots of love for the
It's your
Podman.
turn. It's your turn, PMR.
If you...
Give her a tug.
if you... I like the fact that they use these different odd villains and, comic book looking characters. I mean, it looked like they just got lifted straight from the comic book. And, instead of trying to modernize them or, they
Except
just took,
Bloodsport. Bloodsport was a complete redesign.
yeah, but like Polka Dot Man and, Bloodsport was from the movie. I mean, from the comic book.
No, it wasn't. The modern one, sure.
Comic costume wise.
Well, no, he had at one point he did have a helmet like that.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, just not when he debuted.
Yeah, not when he debuted. So,
had the do-rag.
but, they took King Shark and Polka Dot Man and, and Ratcatcher, and they just took off these off-the-wall characters and threw some of them through comic-accurate costumes on them. I mean, didn't try to, modernize them or anything. They just threw caution to the wind and just made them up. And I thought that, I like that. I like that a lot.
And like James Gunn did with Guardians of the Galaxy, made them some of my favorite comic book movie characters ever.
Yeah.
Alex, there's something else I was going to mention. I mentioned on the podcast you didn't listen to. Warner Brothers also, it's a multimedia corporation, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's also...
Please don't go into the video games because that's going to...
That's where I'm going.
Oh no!
So Alex, you've also got just a Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, right? We got that coming out next year. So you've also got that. They had a property that people had no interest in whatsoever after that first movie. Now everybody's stoked, and like you can make the correlation when that video game comes out. Hey, the movie also helped push the video game because now you care about these characters, you want to play them, and you want to see them take down Superman. So,
like the highest grossing medium at the moment, like it's beats out.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like something somebody said last week.
Yeah, just
Interesting.
Game of all time.
Maybe he is listening to the podcast.
Oh,
Or he's just rational.
Who was rational?
Don't please,
PMR because he doesn't like video games.
Wah. That's a big old wah for me.
Anyway,
so rant about this movie. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Alex. I'm glad that a little old superhero movie has brought such happiness to your heart and everything.
Brad, I'm surprised you didn't like it more.
I thought it was fine. I don't know that I recognize a James Gunn movie.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, again, ensemble cast. He juggles the characters, gives everybody a little spotlight, and all that stuff. Fine, I certainly won't take that away. And I'm not trying to say it was a bad movie. I did try to rewatch it, but I found myself fast forwarding through most of it. I could not. I was like, okay. Loved Ratcatcher and Bloodsport, Bloodshots, whatever. Relationship and all that kind of stuff. Again, a fine movie, but there were, I said this on the last podcast, there were things from the first Suicide Squad that I liked better.
What?
I liked a lot better. So it's like, if you mushed them both together, I think you would have a better movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that movie. So that
did you hate it because there was a marksman, a black marksman with a daughter who was kind of tricked into becoming in the school? So again, it's like, I get it. Both those characters existed, but it's like you couldn't have picked somebody other than Bloodsport to be the main guy. I mean, that was ridiculous. Yeah. Once Will Smith was out.
I do think Bloodsport's cooler than Good shot.
No, again, I like it. It's just, it's the kind of the same thing that I had a problem with the Dark Knight. That again, I enjoy that movie, but kind of odd that Joker's standing in the middle of the street and Batman's coming down on his Batwing or Batcycle and crashes, and then Joker ends by falling off of a rooftop. It's like that. You couldn't say, you know what? Let's do something a little bit different with Joker here. You right? Tell me I'm wrong on that one, Alex.
I'm not.
Okay. But
I will say I do like this movie more than The Dark Knight. I'll say that.
Okay.
Personally.
It was probably more entertaining, I guess, in a lot of ways than The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight's a stunning movie.
Yeah.
And Heath Ledger's performance is still better than everyone's performance in this movie. But I don't know. For my heart, I love a good family drama, and this was the perfect little family drama for me.
All right.
I don't know, but with the first Suicide Squad, the movie makes no fucking sense because
I agree.
Amanda Waller, there's the whole thing they didn't even know that she was in danger before the danger even happened. They were on a mission before she was a part of the mission, and it makes no goddamn sense.
No, I completely agree, and maybe that's a product of studio interference and the Ayer cut and all that kind of crap. So I agree that the first Suicide Squad, the movie didn't make any sense, but I liked the way, even though, again, yes, it was shoehorned in, but I liked the connection to the larger DC universe with Joker and Batman. I thought Harley Quinn was much better in that movie. I liked that Boomerang didn't get killed in that movie, and he had more screen time. I would have loved to see more Boomerang in this.
I could have done with Boomerang instead of Polka Dot Man.
Or if they would have done something else with Polka Dot. I mean, I think we talked about this. He was probably arguably the most powerful of the heroes, but they never actually used him.
Yeah.
Or the villains, I guess I should say, not the heroes. He was a hero at the end.
And I'm not as crazy about Polka Dot Man as everyone else.
I'm turning him, Brian. You see what I'm doing? I'm getting in his fucking head, and I'm turning. It's going to go down to a 4, I bet you.
Killing Boomerang, I was like, oh, that sucks. So that is even though I really don't like Jai Courtney as an actor, that was a standout in this movie. But no, I'm still going to give it a 5.
Okay, I'll get you there.
I just loved it.
Anything else to add, Podman Ron?
Nope.
Not a goddamn thing.
I just wasted everyone's time for an hour just to tell everyone, yeah, this movie's fucking great.
I like this movie.
I fucking love it. It's so good.
All right.
Even small children should see it. They deserve it. This is a great reward.
Wow.
You get to see Pete Davidson shot in the fucking head 5 minutes in.
Great. I thought we liked Pete Davidson.
We do, but it's still entertaining.
Well, speaking of entertaining, did you watch The Wrestler? Now that's a good movie.
I fell asleep during it.
God damn
Oh,
it.
hey, thank you, Alex. I appreciate that.
I also had a long day of work, but I did fall asleep. So I didn't.
All right, why don't you try to watch it and then give us your honest opinion?
Yeah,
Okay.
no. We're going to give from now on the podcast. We're going to the three podmen will give a opinion, and then a week later we'll revisit those opinions with the fourth. It's very very straddled strategy here.
Yeah, my
but
bad.
It's a good one. It's a good one. The Wrestler.
The Wrestler.
On that one, Brian and I agreed on that, and Podman Ron vehemently disagreed with
I'll
it.
let you watch it, Alex, and let me,
I'll have to but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, don't.
Yeah,
worry.
you need to watch it when you're not at risk of. I mean, it's very subtle.
It's a
like
very
the movies,
slow,
it's a
quiet
subtle film, but like if you can.
it's
I don't
like
know.
watching rain. It's very subtle.
So
It's like it's like watching rain like fall on your windows.
But good. Don't we love rain?
We do love rain. Rain is
Okay.
pretty.
All
That,
right.
not on a wedding day.
Not on a wedding day.
That's ironic.
that rain shot squad is fucking beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, it was. It was. I'll give you that.
Whew.
I didn't know there was a rain shot.
Did you recognize the bar as the Claremont Lounge in Atlanta?
Yes, I did.
I did not recognize that. Wow.
I did recognize. Yeah. I wish everyone loved it like I did, because I've spent
We
a lot.
did like it.
I spent a lot of time just thinking about the fucking movie.
Wow. Okay, it got in your head. I will give it another shot for you.
You
Alex.
should.
I will give it another shot, but I can't. There's something about me that, again, got nothing wrong with James Gunn, but I'm just like, I think everybody just overflates his ego a little bit too much. A fine filmmaker. I don't think he's a great filmmaker, and I have no real reason to back that up. It's just my gut feeling.
And I would have agreed, but I don't know why. I really do think it's this. It's probably. I really went to researching after the first time I saw it, and I found out James Gunn was like abused. Like he had a very abusive childhood and things.
But damn, we all.
And that was dark. But I think just going at it from this lens of knowing the filmmaker, it's like he really just had an 185 million therapy session.
Wow.
Like it really felt like that. Like he said, like this is the only movie he's ever liked directing. Like he loves writing a movie, he loves editing a movie, but he doesn't like directing movies. But this is the first movie he enjoyed every day on set, and I think it just goes to show how much it means to him. And I think I don't want to say my love's partly on that, but it does. It is enhanced by the fact that I see a filmmaker with such a unique style that I recognize really falling in love with the film that gives him such joy.
Yeah,
and
right.
I can appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's great. Yeah, Brian?
I feel like the greatness in the direction is probably in the fact that he can get. It's not saying action and then cut and then okay, did they read the script well? It's. I think the whole idea is it's the chemistry that he can bring to the screen and the way he can get the actors themselves to build chemistry amongst themselves that translates beyond the script. I think that's the whole thing. What makes him a great director is the chemistry that he can get between characters, and it's not chemistry. It's not fake because it's chemistry between the actors. All those entourages, they all love each other. They're all, and it comes across the screen. I think that's it. Is the what he brings to the set to bring those performances out.
Yeah.
So I don't see him being able to direct The Godfather, right? but for this, these type of ensemble casts and that sort of thing, and this type of story, he's perfect. So
It is. Yeah. I can completely agree.
All right.
Yeah.
The James Gunn Love Fest just
Look at, I mean, it's so weird because not only besides Infinity War and Endgame, which I don't even count as like favorite Marvel movies because it's like that would be so much bias for me because they're perfect movies in my mind and I can't let anyone tell me different because I'm stubborn. But if we count those two out, he's directed not only my favorite DC movie, but my favorite Marvel movie with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So, I mean, yeah. And previously, I think the only DC movie that I really, truly loved deeply was Superman 78.
Wow.
So, like, yeah.
Quite a range there. All right. Well, hey, I'm glad for you. I will give it another shot. Brian, sounds like Brian will watch it again just to love it again. We'll give it a little bit more love from Brian. And Alex, I'm sure you'll watch it. We need to do one of these group watch things sometime, and make sure we're catching all the subtleties that James Gunn brings here.
Yeah, we did that once, did we not? We tried to watch it.
Superman 3, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we tried to riff tracks it.
We tried to riff track it.
I think we all fell asleep at one point.
Yep, we started at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And given this was well over, I would say 5 years ago or whatever, but
it predated the podcast.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. We were just kind of practicing stuff.
7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we were all young men back then, and we still fell asleep at 11 o'clock at night to Superman 3. So,
I think what sucks is that in like 2 weeks we have Shang-Chi, and man, I can already tell you this movie's probably gonna be a 3, like because I'm coming off this adrenaline.
You got this high going, yeah. Meanwhile, Podman Ryan loves Shang-Chi.
I'm just gonna. I'm really excited for that movie. I really liked what I've seen, but I feel like I'm gonna go in and go. Yeah,
Brian was right.
Brian was right after all.
And it sucks because I really am excited, and I hope to be proven wrong. Of course, like with any movie that I'm excited for, I hope I love it. But I'm gonna call right now, make a little estimate that I'm probably gonna give this a 3. I'm going to just make a guess. At my current level, I'm like, I can see this just me going in and saying, yeah, it was good. Black Widow's still a fucking 2, though, and I don't give a fuck.
I mean, the guy that they got playing Shang-Chi looks like, I mean, like from everything we've seen in the trailers, he just seems like, completely boring.
Yeah,
and the fact that they had to add Awkwafina to the film to punch it up, and probably isn't a good sign for me falling in love with Shang-Chi. So,
wow. No, I can't believe no more love. Podman Ron, you were looking forward to Shang-Chi finally, right?
I am finally. It took like the 3rd trailer, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
No, I am excited for Eternals. I'm really excited for that movie. That movie could be really good, but
it's probably going to take 2 more trailers for me to get excited about that because the first one didn't do much for me.
Well, I'm going to have trouble with the Eternals because I'm going to be sitting there the whole time thinking. Sorry.
Shang. S-H-A-N-G. Shang. That's what I said.
that kind of great Awkwafina dialogue with Shang-Chi. I mean, it's undeniable, I think, right?
No.
Yeah, I got a feeling.
Movie?
They're going to be trying to clone Rush Hour.
Wait, was that from
in this film?
Shang.
That was from the movie.
Shang. S-H-A-N-G. Shang. That's what I said.
That's from the fucking movie.
That was a trailer that was released today. Yeah, you got to check it out. A better view of the Abomination. All the fanboys are excited.
Oh, fuck.
Then a little comedic bit there with Awkwafina about how to pronounce Shang-Chi.
Oh, God. Oh, fucking God. Oh.
Alex, I'm going to put this out there too. Like when Eternals comes out, it's already behind the 8 ball for me because I'm going to be sitting there thinking, well, the New Gods is better. Yeah, this is like the New Gods, but the New Gods is better. The New Gods is better.
Man.
And so if you've read, aside from...
There's no New Gods movie, though.
I know.
Exactly.
If you've read New Gods outside of just the Mr. Miracle storyline,
yeah,
the Maxi series, you would probably feel the same.
I do feel the same already. But seriously, HBO, make a fucking, or DC, whoever, I don't give a fuck. Make a Mr. Miracle movie.
Somebody make a Mr. Miracle, for God's sake.
Well, let me run this past you, Alex, real quick, because we talked about this on the last podcast too. You know, they've announced they've cast a Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Then it's Zolo. What's his last name from?
Marriage Bueno.
Yeah,
Bueno.
as Jaime Reyes.
Yep.
So, and me and Brad were talking about, you know, I don't need 3 Blue Beetle movies. I don't think anybody needs 3 Blue Beetle movies. Once, you know, he's only got the one bad guy. It's the Reach, right? So once he defeats the Reach, you know, that's it. But I would like to see like a growth in the universe. And so if you have Blue Beetle first, and then you at the end you introduce Booster Gold, and then we get a Blue and Gold movie.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty sick.
And
then, since they've already said that James Gunn, you know, they've already got stuff that they're planning for James Gunn in DC, what if we got a Justice League International film?
he would kill that.
Guy Gardner,
Yeah,
Mr. Miracle, and
all the
Barda,
cast too.
you know, Batman, Martian Manhunter,
Hell, you could
Oberon.
you could put Batgirl as the Batman role in that book. 'Cause
There you go.
look at me, I'm already thinking.
You're already thinking ahead and bringing that inclusion factor in on things. So
That would be great.
appreciate
I'd love to see. I don't know. I
Rocket
know there's
Red.
a lot of talk about James Gunn doing a Superman movie, and I don't think that's the right property for him.
No, it needs to be an ensemble, and so think about
Yeah.
look of the DC ensembles, right?
He'd kill
Like,
Justice League International.
Justice League International, the you know Keith Giffen stuff, that is right there. That is James Gunn 101.
James Gunn with
So-
Martian Manhunter's cookie addiction, man.
Or just knocking out Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
Just James Gunn directed, like bringing Guy Gardner to the screen.
Yeah, that's
So
really good. It's crap. I never thought about that.
there you go.
Well, now you have something new to think about tonight instead of that fucking Suicide Squad movie. Hey, let me ask you something, guys. I know, Alex, you have, other things to be doing this weekend. But Podman Ron and Brian, you guys are going to be on location, and I'm hoping we can get some reports back from you for the next podcast. Tell us where you're going.
Jordan Klepper segments.
Yeah, we're going to BMR. Did you want to chime in?
I was just going to say, we're going to MegaCon. We're going to hang out and, talk to some celebrities, rub elbows with celebrities.
Yeah, because
Those
I
that
know
haven't canceled.
some new celebrities are in there. Some John Lovett's, unfortunately, I think canceled, but you're going to find some other ones, right?
Yeah, everybody in the office is canceled except for Packer. Packer's still going. Yondu's supposed to be there from Guardians of the Galaxy, and Michael Rooker,
Or
Savant
Savant from Suicide Squad.
from Suicide Squad. You've got Christopher Eccleston canceled today. It's getting pretty thin. I mean, Stephen Amell's still going.
I wonder why.
I wonder.
You said George Perez canceled too, did you not?
Yeah, George Perez canceled, but they added Jim Shooter, which that's a pretty
Legendary
good
comic book
trade-off.
artist. Yeah, but that's not the same as George Perez. I wonder if half the Podmen are going to, being there, is that going to, are you guys going to have a table there? Are you going to be the most celebrities, the biggest celebrities?
I told Brian we should go ahead and just start signing stuff,
Well,
set a table next
it
to
could be
Jim
any
Shooter.
worse than John Lovett's. Come on.
Ray Fisher's going to be there. Cyborg, he
He's
found
going to be
his
crying about,
his next gig.
crying about the whole cyborg thing again.
Yeah, probably.
sure he will.
Just listen to him. He just needs somebody to talk to.
You've got Dave Coulier, Bob Saget, and John Stamos
great.
from
Wait a minute,
Full House.
Are you
Brian,
going to a 90s
oh my God.
TV show convention? What is this? This does not sound like a mega con to me.
We've got William Shatner
Oh.
and
you
George
go.
Takei.
Oh,
Maybe
hey.
they'll fight because they hate each other.
We've got Ron Perlman,
Okay.
Robert Patrick. We've got Giancarlo Esposito from The Mandalorian.
Okay.
I don't know who that is.
The guy with the black lightsaber.
Gideon Moff.
Oh, okay.
Moff Gideon.
Or Moff
Guy
Gideon. There you go.
from Gus from Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Would you like for me to go through the list of everybody that's canceled? because it's rough.
That's good. That's only going to hurt. I want to hear about kind of what kind of we report. Now, you guys you'll have to pay big money to actually get interviews with people, but maybe so. I don't know if we're going to be expecting that, but can we at least can you record some? Hey, this is Podman Ron and Brian. We're on location at MegaCon, and kind of tell us what your experience. Can you do that? And get those files over for the podcast.
We could get some clips in. Brian's really good about talking to people, though. I mean, he could probably get some interviews in for you.
All right.
Probably get some interviews for with some artists.
Can you be a camera person for it, PMR?
Yeah, I'll do that. I can do that.
We all know PMR shy, camera shy. So
Dan Didio is going to be there, or Didio is going to be there.
Man who ruined DC Comics.
We can say, Dan, what the fuck happened?
What were you thinking?
What the fuck did you do?
What the fuck happened, Dan?
Well,
you were on top of the world.
Again, Alex, I'm sure you're aware of this, but the Podmen Instagram account is blowing up, just like storming the beach of Carto Maligo or whatever the hell that was.
Corto Maltese.
Thank you. So I'm assuming we're going to have great pictures, maybe some cosplay pictures of people and things like that. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, listener, when you're listening to this, making sure you're checking out the Instagram as well, because Brian's going to be knocking the hell out of that. And speaking of listeners, Brian, do you want to give out a special shout out to a listener, a special Podman listener?
And for those that follow us on Instagram, know that our listener, Mark Spear, had a birthday this week. So congratulations, Mark.
Happy birthday, Mark.
Congratulations.
Has he shown any kind of interest in actually appearing on the podcast?
I could probably get him on the podcast.
I mean, he doesn't really want to be on. I mean, we had one guest. In the past,
we could call that episode "Local Nobody Wins Nothing."
Local Nobody Wins.
Well, let's try not to insult the listener.
I mean, we had one guest. In the past 5 years of doing the podcast, 155 episodes, we've had one guest.
But we can still get some of the old crew from the studio.
Nita and
personally, I'd love a PMA, Podman Adam. I'd love that.
Well, there could be problems there.
I'd like to get a sound bite of Tim going, "I'll tell you what," and we can just play it from time to time.
Yeah, that would be good.
I did forget to tell you guys that a few weeks back I saw Adam.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. We may have to take this in the green room and do.
We'll have to
this
take
might be go on to the Podman After Dark on Patreon.
Let's go in the green room.
Yeah,
we'll have to go on Local Nobody.
Was it the glint from his scope that gave him away?
Yeah, you got to watch. It's been very sunny out recently. That thing will reflect.
That's why you got to wax the scope, Adam.
Yeah. You gotta know.
Hiding in the bushes isn't enough.
All right, so I can't wait to hear this story. I can't believe I've been sitting listening to Alex cream over fucking Suicide Squad for an hour, and you've been holding this story back when we should have closed like 50 minutes ago. All right, so
some might say that I lost my head.
Well,
the Suicide Squad.
There you go. Thank you. We'll put that in the liner notes. All right, so basically. Listener, you're going to have lots of stuff blowing up on Instagram. We're going to have clips. It's going to be a fantastic all MegaCon mega episode.
We have business cards.
We have little business cards, but no business.
No business.
But until next time, Alex.
Save it for the podcast.